Hey guys, out here in the Smoky Mountains for the last full day. I'm off on a little quiet walking trail, they call it, off the side of the road. So the amount of rain that we've experienced has been nuts. I can't believe how much it's rained. It's I'd say 90% of the time we've been here, it's rained, and not just a little bit of rain. It's been like full on all day torrential downpours. So today has been nice so far. It should stay nice, so that's good. We've really enjoyed it. It's been what we've been able to see has been a lot of fun. But yeah, so let me back up before we get more into Tennessee and the Smoky Mountains. Let me back up to just kind of recap when we got started. So as of this recording, we left this past Sunday around 9:30 or so in the morning in Boston. We got a little bit of a late start. It took a little bit longer than we imagined to pack everything up into the car, get everything out of the apartment, and get the apartment nice and clean. But we got the apartment spick and span, and so we left around, like I said, around 9:30 or so. It was pretty smooth sailing on the road that morning up until New York. We started hitting traffic in New York, and of course we drove around the outskirts of New York City. So we got to see the skyline of New York City. We saw the Freedom Tower and the Empire State Building, so that was kind of cool. And so of course there's going to be traffic around that area. And then as soon as we hit New Jersey, we saw the rain clouds come in, and it just rained the entire rest of the way, all the way to DC. So when we got to DC, it started to let up a little bit, started sprinkling, so we were kind of optimistic. And so we got checked into the hotel, got our stuff up there, up to the room, got back down to go out, and sure enough, it started up again. But we went out anyway with a couple of umbrellas. But even with umbrellas, we were getting too wet, and Nolly was soaked. So we called it a night, unfortunately. Went back to the hotel, let Nolly run around in the hotel. He loves hotels. We gave him a towel. He's just easily amused, especially after being in the car for hours. He loves running around in the hotel. So got a good night's sleep in DC, and got up in the next morning. We wanted to see a few things before we left, and it's rain again, just full-on torrential rain again. So we did a couple of drive-by sightseeing. We saw the White House and the Lincoln Memorial, which was really cool, but it was just too much rain. So we went ahead and headed for Tennessee right then, which is Monday morning rush hour traffic in the rain. So it was just bumper to bumper traffic and rain for a while, and just more rain, more traffic. And then when we got to about somewhere along the way, I think maybe in Virginia, it started to clear up and the sun started coming out, so we were pretty happy about that. We got to Tennessee that night, on Sunday night, and we checked into our campground that night. It's a really cool campground, pretty quiet for the most part. We just had our two-person tent, and the first night was pretty good. The next day, it did rain a little bit, but it wasn't awful. But that night, it started just pouring down rain around 2:30 or so. But even with that, it pretty much rained the entire next day. But even with that, our tent was still okay. It started to get a little damp in there, but it wasn't too bad. And then the next day, again, just rain all night, all day. And by that time, our tent was getting pretty damp. Condensation was building up into the tent, and our pillows were getting wet and things like that. So But luckily the next day it was time for us to kind of leave that campground anyway. And now we're in a pretty cool little, like, it's called Under Canvas. It's closer to Pigeon Forge, but it's off the beaten path, way out in the woods, which is kind of cool. But it's like a glamping spot, which is it's pretty cool. It's got its own king size bed. It's got fans. It's got a fireplace inside there, some chairs. It's a pretty cool little place. It even has some bathrooms and a hot shower. So that's pretty nice after no shower for 4 or 5 days. It's pretty nice to have that. So, but yeah, we've overall what we've been able to see, we've really enjoyed it here. I mean, the rain is kind of a bummer, but with Nolly we can't really get out onto the backcountry trails anyway. So it's been kind of like just kind of driving around and seeing Cades Cove. We drove that multiple times trying to see a bear. No bears. But we've seen some elk, of course, turkeys everywhere. We saw a groundhog, a fox, a little otter came up to our first campsite right on the river. That was kind of cool to see him. But yeah, we've had a really good time here. It's amazing. I see why people love it. It definitely gives off a jungle vibe, I feel, kind of a rainforest vibe. At least right now with all this rain and clouds moving in, so it's definitely living up to its name. But yeah, we've had a great time here. Tomorrow we'll be leaving, heading to Nashville. So we'll be putting together the next video we'll have of Nashville. But yeah, keep following us along on this little adventure of ours. Go ahead and subscribe. I'll be uploading new videos every chance I get. Like I said, we've got Nashville next, and then we're heading to Yellowstone, the Tetons, probably the Grand Canyon, Colorado, Utah. We got a lot coming up, so go ahead and join us for the adventure. We'd like to have you along for the ride, so appreciate it. More to come soon.